Hey everybody, welcome back to A&E with S&E. Today we'd like to talk about the somewhat controversial Marvel-Sony deal concerning Spider-Man.
Right, so for those of you who don't know, basically what happened is Sony owned Spider-Man, Marvel did not. Spider-Man is a Marvel character, but Marvel didn't own the rights to put him in a movie. Sony and Marvel worked out a deal. Spider-Man is in Marvel movies now.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Just as an idea, like a whole general idea. We'll get into the specifics a little later. What do you think of that? Like, do you think Marvel should have Spider-Man?
I feel that since almost every Marvel property crosses over at some point in their storylines, especially some of the bigger and more popular stories. And so I think it's nice that Marvel can finally use their own character again, especially such a figurehead character. So, as far as that goes, that's great. I'm ecstatic.
I agree. I think Marvel owning its Marvel character, not even owning, just being able to use it, I think that is a good idea, a good thing. But my next question then for you would be, I don't hate the whole idea of Spider-Man being in Marvel, but I don't like the idea of not using Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. That part I don't understand. They could have worked out the deal and kept all the same actors on board.
Right.
I don't see a reason for another reboot.
No, I agree with you. I think it would have, and I talked to people about this, and I said, why couldn't they just say what happened in Spider-Man happened in the Marvel Universe? And they're saying, yeah, but what about the Avengers and all that? And I said, why couldn't it just happen a little earlier then?
Yeah.
But
no one's nitpicking dates. No one's looking at that.
I don't. Then and everyone keeps saying like the dates wouldn't match up. It wouldn't make sense.
Who looks at that?
And that's what I said. I said, why couldn't they just be like, oh, yep, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is now part of the Avengers.
You look at some of the other Avengers movies, and although they mention prior events, they don't really affect anything.
Right. So I don't think that would have been a bad idea, keeping him around. Do you have any ideas on who they should cast? Because there's a lot of talk of like a Miles Morales, kind of like a black Spider-Man.
Well, I think that would be a good idea, and it's nice to have diversity. I feel like the character has sort of been established. We're already seeing with Fantastic Four casting the Human Torch with an African American playing him, and that's great. And especially since Fantastic Four isn't as well known as some of the other characters. I mean, yeah, everybody knows who they are now, but there's room to play with that. Spider-Man is such an established character. It wouldn't make sense to have, unless you did go that route, and the only way they could do that and have it work is if they actually had Miles take over the reins from Peter. You need to wrap up Peter. You can't just write him out of the story.
Right. I don't think it's a terrible idea, and it could be interesting as to because I read, and I think you talk about this in your article, that they are not going to do an origin story.
No.
Which is, thank God. I mean, we've already seen 2 Spider-Man origin stories. We know how Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man. We don't need another one. So I think it could be a cool idea that they just kind of skip over Peter Parker in general.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that I think it would be a better storyline if they bring in Miles, that Peter is there first.
Yeah.
Maybe have established Peter and follow building up Miles instead of building up Peter.
There are so many alternate Spider-Mans that could be introduced that would make for great stories and great movies. But I do think they need to, if since they're getting rid of Peter anyways, it would really be, or not Peter, Andrew Garfield, it would be really beneficial of them to just write him out instead of disregarding the previous stories.
There could be the build-in. That's a great idea. Just, and you would still get, Andrew Garfield could get the send-off. And I think he was such a good Spider-Man. I feel bad that he didn't get to finish his 3 movies. And I didn't think the second movie was that bad. I thought the first one was good, the second one was good. So I think it's disappointing. I think this whole Spider-Man thing could be interesting.
It's nice to see Spider-Man be able to share screen time with the Avengers, but the problem is he is not going to get his franchise anymore. He is now a side character. He's an accessory.
Right.
He is not a star.
They'll put him in Captain America.
They'll have
put
his
him
own
in
movie,
Avenger.
but we're not going to see like 5 Spider-Man films.
Right.
And there's so many characters and stories that we're not going to get to see now.
And that's the thing I always liked about Sony is that there was that potential there for, multiple Spider-Man movies really getting into the Sinister Six, and now we're not going to see that. It's all right. Next week, we'll have another A&E with S&E. As always, the topic will be a surprise. You won't know what it is, but you can guarantee it's going to have something to do with movies or TVs or just arts and entertainment in general.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.